Hey there viewers, this is Carter Dotson of Android Rundown here with a video spotlight of BlastTrax by Jayenkai. Recently came out on Android, and it's a neat little shoot 'em up kind of game where things get really blurry and you shoot a lot of enemies. It's got a neat look to it, and it's a game you really need to see in motion, I think, to appreciate. We're going to start off by turning the blur up to plenty. It's kind of like eating a nice spicy buffalo wing. You know, there's enough heat there to be satisfying, but it's not going to kill you. And we'll play on normal because, you know, we're going to go with something nice and satisfying. As you can see, going down a track here, and you know, basically you're just shooting enemies. You have a lot of health until you start off with 25, and you take a lot of hits, but you also have, you know, a lot going on. You know, there's the blur effect, which, you know, the game's really colorful, but it makes everything look cooler. You know, you can turn it off, but it's just not as much fun that way. Plus, I'm reasonably certain, having played this, that the blur doesn't hurt all that much. You can still see the enemies. And yeah, as you can see, the blur effect adds a stylistic touch, you know, and just kind of going around shooting enemies. You know, it's a very colorful game. As you can tell, it's, you know, rainbow palette, just all kinds of color all about. And, ooh, level 1, 96% destruction. And, you know, that's pretty decent. You know, if you try to go for the destruction, what you will find is that you're going to take a lot more hits, and later on this becomes a challenge. Now every so often you'll gain health, and if you get a certain amount of hits in a level, you know, that yellow number up top, if you hit 1,000, you get a more powerful weapon, you know, but you only get it for the duration of that level. So unless it's a really long level, you're not going to benefit all that much. Now, I'm playing with a gamepad right now. I'm playing with a Nyko playpad, actually. But it's not an Android gamepad. It's actually the iCade. Developer Jayenkai uses a cross-platform engine. And, you know, this game's out on iOS as well, where there's iCade support. And he's actually throwing it in with this. You know, there's actually some other games. Orange Pixel does this with the iCade support as well, you know, even though Android supports actual gamepads. And I don't think this actually supports any like HID gamepads or anything like that. I tried one out and it didn't quite work. So, you know, if you have an iCade controller, like I say, if you have the Nyko playpad, which isn't a fantastic Android controller, if you have that, then you can use that to control the Android version of the game, and it controls really well with a gamepad. I really recommend it. You know, the controls otherwise are you just kind of drag your finger around the screen and you fire as you move. You know, that works well too, and you have a little bit more kind of range. I guess it's a little more analog, but you know, with the D-pad and a button to fire, it's a good effect too. It's really, it's fun no matter how you play it. And the controls are very simple. I mean, you're just moving and firing. It's just that. So there's nothing overly complex. You know, it's just, when you play it with a controller, you get that feeling like it's a little more of like a game. You know, if you have a standard tablet or HDMI output for your phone, you know, you can definitely sit back and play this one. And like I said, you know, the game has a lot going on in terms of the graphics and, you know, enemies firing at you and those bits that come in, and you can collect them, and you're trying to just stay alive, you know, as long as possible. And that's really, I think, the idea. You can go back and shoot enemies that you miss if you want to go for 100% destruction and get that bonus at the end. But it's just so much more advantageous if you stay alive, and you get to kill more enemies later on. Plus, at a certain point, if you try to take down too many, there's just going to be, it's just going to overwhelm you. And like at this point now, I'm just trying to like get through everything. like the goal. It's 79%. You know, it's like the kid in school who suddenly gets a TV one year in his room and his grades drop. Not an autobiographical story, of course. Yeah, we're just gonna see how long I can last. My high score is about 41,000 or so. You saw on the title screen, and we're gonna try to actually go for 100% destruction here. And it's very much a retro arcade style game. One of the better looking Jayenkai games. If you remember the feature I did earlier this year, he talks about how he does like programmer art. It's not great looking, but using this kind of abstract old arcade style, and especially with the blur just gives a sort of depth to everything. It's very Jeff Minter-esque. If you've ever played the game like Tempest 2000, or I believe he's released a few mobile games, including one on Android, Grid Runner, which we wrote about earlier this year. He released on his site. He's doing TXK for the Vita now. I believe he's done with mobile games, but his games have like this really unique style to them, and he loves blur, and you can't always tell what's going on, but that's kind of the cool thing about it, is that it's that style, and this is very much paying homage to it, but it's still its own thing. It's very clearly an homage, and some of the goofy names are as well, but it's it's really interesting. This is actually, if you follow Jayenkai on Twitter, he talks about how this was kind of started as a racing game, and there's actually an unlockable theme, I believe, at one point that looks a bit more like the racing game he was making, and just like a green background, but it kind of turned into a space shooter, and he tweeted about the blur and the extreme blurs we'll be showing you later on once I get taken out. That it's like, this might be too much, and Simon Windmill, Cool Powers on Twitter, made Breakaroids, which recently came out on Android as well, said, I don't see a problem here. I believe I might have said that as well. The blur in this game is just a really cool effect. And when you have it set to plenty, it's plenty of blur. It's real blurry, but it's cool. It just adds like a dynamic visual effect to everything. It's just it's really good to look at, which is something that I imagine Jayenkai would not think about his games. And he knows it. His games aren't exactly going to win any awards for graphics. This one might, though. This one's pretty cool. Don't know if it'll win any awards, but we can make an award for best blur effects in a game, and you can win. We'll have a party and everything. Invite some celebrities. I don't know when or where we will have it. Ooh, I got the more powerful weapon. Almost, yes! 1 heart. 77%. The grades are slipping. But I'm still alive. Forever Lobster Nebula, level 6. Like I said, at this point, I'm just frantically trying to stay alive. Just shooting enemies just because I can. I don't even know why I went back for that one. It felt right. It felt right to go back. Still have most of my health. I don't know how much more of this level there is. I'm about halfway through. I don't like my chances of making it. I just got a little heart. If I can get that more powerful weapon, I can go back and shoot some of these guys, and yeah, eventually the path kind of shuts off on you, so you can't backtrack too much. Got another heart, or I lost one. I either got one or I lost one. That's the important thing, is the number changed. Now it's down to 2, 4, 3, 2, 1. I gotta at least get a high score for the video. Oh, 2nd place. Come on. And my hit score is actually 46,000. I underestimated myself. Because of course I did. I'm just that good. I'm not that cocky in real life, I swear. And you know, that's a pretty good look at BlastTrax, but there's one more I want to show off. I want to show off the extreme. You know, if Plenty is a mildly hot buffalo wing, Plenty, that's Plenty. Extreme is you're gonna feel bad afterwards. We're gonna set it to hard too. I might last for like 30 seconds. As you can see, everything is just, it's extremely blurry, and there's enemies and bullets just flying about. Really, I have half a clue what I'm doing, and it's so good looking. It's so much fun, Jan. This is what you get when you play on extreme and hard. Maybe play with extreme on easy. You know, you get the crazy looks. Maybe not so much enemies. I don't even know how I'm like alive at this point. It's kind of a Christmas miracle. Almost at the end of this level. Oh, rough. I need some more practice, or I need to turn the blur down a lot. So yeah, that is BlastTrax by Jayenkai. It's available for about $1.07, or your local currency equivalent on Google Play right now. Check it out. Supports phones and tablets. And supports iCade if you have a controller that supports that. Definitely check it out. I have been Carter Dotson for Android Rundown, and this has been our video spotlight.